Here are some estate planning basics. Hello, I'm Don Rolfe, the owner and founder of Northwest Legal Planning, an estate planning and probate law firm located in West Linn, Oregon, and serving the greater Portland metro area. And today I wanted to just go back to some really basic concepts and ideas and things to think about when we're talking about estate planning. So the first one I want to talk about is that really you should be thinking about estate planning if you don't have one, but at times in your life there are moments when estate planning or changing your estate plan makes sense. So the number one time that I always think that people should think about estate planning is when they have children. And adding that child into your life is a huge responsibility. You're responsible for everything for that child. They're essentially defenseless and incapable of supporting themselves. And if you are gone, providing for them is still important. So whether it's monetarily, by paying for schooling and clothes and all of those sorts of things through life insurance or money that you've saved and making sure that it's getting to them or into the hands of the right people to spend it on their behalf. And then also, who's going to be raising your kids? I mean, if you have grown children, you don't have to worry about that, but if you have minor children, somebody is going to have to be in control of sheltering them, making sure that they're safe, making sure that they're doing the things that they're supposed to, instilling them with hopefully values that you would have instilled in them. And to do that, you need to name guardians. If you fail to name guardians, it's going to be a judge that is going to look at a petition from either one couple or person or multiple petitioners to determine who should be raising your kids. And ultimately that should be a choice that you make, not a judge. Another time that we think about doing estate planning is when we come into money or our finances change dramatically, especially here in Oregon, since our estate planning threshold is so low at only $1 million per person. It's very easy to not think of yourself as a wealthy person and estate planning isn't important. Well, estate planning really isn't just for the wealthy, but if you think that having $1 million keeps estate planning out of your reach, that's not true. And getting to $1 million in Oregon is pretty easy these days, especially in the valley here because of home prices. If you own a home that's worth, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, it doesn't take much more to get to that $1 million threshold where estate taxes would start to apply. So estate planning is important in that respect to try to reduce that estate tax and give as much to your beneficiaries, heirs, children as you can. So, if your finances change dramatically or if they sneak up on you and you suddenly realize that your finances have changed, that's a time to look at estate planning. And then the third time where it's very common and important to look at estate planning is when your family changes. It's not just the birth of the child, but if someone passes away, there's a divorce, a marriage, all of those sorts of things. Any changes in your family, it's an important time to take a look at estate planning. Now, another basic concept by the way, if you have any questions about any of these topics that I'm covering today or any other estate planning topic, feel free to reach out to me. I will chat with you for free and answer those questions. And you can schedule a time to do that either on the phone or in person by going to myEstatePlanMeeting.com. So another basic concept is, what is estate planning? I met with a couple the other day and I was talking about estate planning, and really they wanted wills, and they said, hold on a second, Don, what is this estate plan? We're not rich, we're not the Rockefellers, we're not the Kennedys, we don't need an estate plan, we don't have an estate. Estate planning is a general term that I use rather than saying, a will or a trust and a power of attorney and all of those things. Estate planning encompasses all of that, and it encompasses people who have absolutely zero wealth all the way up to, Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. And estate planning is the encompassing term that we use. And within estate planning, we plan your estate, and then we use those individual documents that I mentioned, the will, the trust, the power of attorney, healthcare directives, all of those sorts of things. We use those in order to build the estate plan that you desire. So estate planning is I guess, sort of a term that I throw around, and I apologize if it's not completely clear, but it really is taking your desires as to what you would want to have happen if you were incapacitated or after you pass away, and using the documents that we have available to create that plan and make it come to fruition when the time is necessary. And again, estate planning, like I said, is for people who have zero wealth all the way up to the top tier wealthiest people in the world. And that's because there are more decisions than just where's your money going to go. There's going to be decisions about guardianship, as I already talked about. There's going to be decisions as to your funeral arrangements, whether or not you would want to be buried, cremated, or perhaps entombed. So there's all kinds of decisions. And then there's I go back one more time. There's important healthcare decisions that need to be made, whether or not you would want feeding tubes or other life support. So estate planning encompasses all of that. So if you hear me say estate planning, just think of the world of making sure that what you want to have happen happens. All right. And then the last basic concept that I want to cover here is, and I've made a video on this before, is fair does not mean equal, and equal does not mean fair. You do not need to treat all of your children the same. Everyone is an individual. We love our children. I love both of my children, and I will say that I love them the same. But of course, I love them differently, and I know that they are, even though they're twins, they're not carbon copies of each other. They're their own individuals, and they have their own wants and desires, abilities, strengths, weaknesses. So when you're thinking about, leaving things to your children, it doesn't have to all be the same. You don't have to take each plate or each picture off the wall and cut it in thirds and give 1/3 to each of your children. You don't have to deed them 1/3 of the family homestead. Maybe pictures are more important to child number 1, and the homestead's more important to child number 3, and child number 2 really, it's really important to have the tools from Dad's workshop because that's what they do for a living. They followed in Dad's footsteps. It doesn't have to be equal to be fair. And a lot of times the reason that this comes up is I administer estate plans that were put together, either people putting them together on their own or working with another attorney, perhaps an attorney that didn't deal with estate planning. And the one thing that comes up is they've just split everything into however many pieces there are for the children. So it makes it a little bit difficult when you have 5 children owning a house. Who gets to live there? Who's going to collect the rent? Who's going to do the maintenance? All of those sorts of things. And then when they leave it to their children, they take their 1/5 and leave it to their 3 children. So it's, they've each got 1/15, or if my math is correct, something like that, along with their 4 aunts and uncles. It becomes a real mess. And so just remember that when you're thinking about how you want to leave things, it doesn't have to be equal across the board. And just one more bonus, if you are leaving things to people, really try to do it in a way that's going to protect them from creditors, predators, and exes. And we can do that by setting up fairly simple trusts for your heirs, so that what you give them in inheritance will be protected and won't become just a part of their estate that would be available if they were in a car accident, or at some point in time they lost their job and were required to file bankruptcy, a business that they were running folded, that we could protect those assets in such a way that they would still have them available to them after some sort of catastrophic event like that. Again, if you have any questions about these topics that I've discussed or any other estate planning topic, do feel free to reach out to me and schedule a complimentary estate planning strategy session by going to myestateplanmeeting.com. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button below or above or wherever you might find it. If you know somebody who might like this content, please share it with them. I really appreciate that. And if you're thinking about this or have questions, do reach out to me. Again, my name is Don Rolfe, the owner and founder of Northwest Legal Planning, and until next time, take care. Goodbye.